Hi guys, Coach Gallion here, and I'm going to explain the Eastern Hancock Sports Network Bracket Challenge. Now, as you know, today's Selection Sunday, and we're kind of bummed just like you that there's no brackets to fill out or any NCAA tournament at all. So what we did is we went ahead and made our own. Now, the IHSAA tournament kind of paused in the middle of it. The regionals were supposed to be this last weekend, but they postponed them. So what we've done, there are 64 teams that won sectionals. We took those teams and we ranked them by Sagarin rankings, and those are their computer rankings. And I put them here and I filled out this bracket 100% top to bottom based on Sagarin. So the number one overall seed, the seed with the top Sagarin ranking, was the Lawrence North Wildcats down there in the Midwest Regional. And then the team with the lowest Sagarin ranking was the Caston Comets. Now, we know in reality, if these teams were to play on the hardwood, we would have a pretty good idea on all these games of who would win. But that would take all the fun out of everything. So what we do, and this is what, there's about 6 of us coaches that do this every year for the NCAA tournament. We go and we sit down, and instead of figuring out who would win on the court, we figure out who would win if the mascots fought on the court. So for example, if we look up here in the top left, the East Regional, Culver Academy Eagles and the Southwood Knights. What would happen if you locked Eagles and Knights into a gym, put them in there, locked the doors, who would win in a battle? And that's how we determine who we would pick. And every year we do this, and every year this is the most fun, the most thought-provoking of any of the brackets that we fill out. So actually about 3 years ago we did this, and we had a perfect record on the first day. So it's been pretty successful, at least in the early rounds. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through this today. We're going to put this bracket on our Twitter and Facebook accounts. And then we're going to put each round, we're going to let you guys vote on which mascot would win in a fight. Again, we're ignoring the teams themselves and how they would do on the court. We're voting just on the mascots. So what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to start out, I'm going to break down each region just to kind of give you an idea so you can look through them. You can think of our thought process. How do we go through this? I'm not going to give you any hints as to who would win or anything like that, but just kind of get you thinking. So we're going to start out with the East Regional. And the East Regional starts out the 116, the Culver Academy Eagles, the Southwood Knights. Those are pretty self-explanatory. We know what Knights are. We know what Eagles are. We see Eagles and Lions in the next matchup. That's going to be a great matchup. Really balanced there. Knights and Panthers in the 512, Norwell and Western. Floyd Central, the Highlanders, and the Bloomfield Cardinals. Now, some of these you may not know. You may say, hey, Coach, I don't know what a Highlander is. Well, that's where we use Google. And we do this too. When we're trying to figure out something, if we don't know what a mascot is, or if we're not quite sure how tough a mascot is, we Google it. And so what we would do, we would click here, we would Google Floyd Central Highlanders. And you notice the first things we kind of click on this, we notice obviously the Scottish Highlander, he's got a sword. That's going to tell us a lot about the team. So then that gives us an idea. A guy with a sword, a lot different than a guy just holding bagpipes. So that's where we go with that. So moving on here, Greenwood Woodmen, South Decatur Cougars, Heritage Hills Patriots, Northeast Du Bois Jeeps. Just so you know, that is not the Jeep like the vehicle. That is the Jeep from Popeye. It's a fictional character. In Patriots, you got to know what kind of Patriots are we talking about here. And that's another one you have to Google. The Brebeuf Jesuit Braves and the Northwood Panthers in the 7-10 matchup, and the Brownsburg Bulldogs and the Elkhart Christian Eagles in the 2-15. So that rounds off the East Regional. Down to the South Regional. And this is one of my favorite regionals here. Bloomington South Panthers, Cowan Blackhawks. That should be a great matchup. Merrillville Pirates and Beech Grove Hornets. There's 2 sets of Hornets in this region. And it's interesting because we don't know if the Pirates have have an allergy to bee stings or not. That would affect things. Shenandoah Raiders and Wapahani Raiders. Here, the 512. Raiders versus Raiders. What do? That's where we go to Google. What does Shenandoah's mascot look like? What does Wapahani's mascot look like? Which one would win? That's going to require some Googling. One of my favorite matchups to start everything, the Bar Reeve Vikings and the LaVille Lancers. Should be really fascinating to see. The Delta Eagles, Covington Trojans come in at 6-11. The Gary 21st Century Cougars and Rossville Hornets. That's our second Hornets there. Marion Giants, Blackford Bruins, Fort Wayne Blackhawk Braves, and the Argos Dragons, one of 3 dragons in this whole matchup. Moving on to, oops, if I can move on here. Moving on to the West Regional. The Carmel Greyhounds take on the International Griffins. If you don't know what a Griffin is, you'll have to look. New Pal Dragons, Covenant Christian Warriors, Northridge Raiders, Providence Pioneers in the 5-12. Another great matchup there. Fort Wayne Snyder Panthers, Oldenburg Academy Twisters. They're the only Twisters I know of in the state, the 4-13. 6-11, Evansville Wrights Panthers, Hanover Central Wildcats, Danville Warriors, Brownstown Central Braves. Should be another fascinating matchup there, because we don't know, are these Warriors, what kind of Warriors are they? If they're the Golden State Warriors, I'm really scared. If they're the Warriors from the 1980s movie, maybe, depends who they play. Moving on to the 7-10, New Haven Bulldogs, Washington Hatchets. Our third and final Dragons of the matchup, the Silver Creek Dragons, take on the Rochester Zebras. And what I'm really interested to see how that one goes. Because we do know that in Shrek, the dragon and the donkey, that was a good matchup. That was a great fight. So how does a zebra compare to a donkey? Moving on. Lawrence North in the final one here. Wildcats take on the Caston Comets. Linton Stockton Miners, those are coal miners, against the Churubusco Eagles. Greensburg Pirates and Park Heritage Wolves. I believe this is the first sectional championship in boys basketball for the new Park Heritage Wolves. The 4-13 Greenwood Christian Cougars and the Crawford County Wolf Pack. Important to note that they are the Wolf Pack and not just the Wolves. In most of these are plural. So if we see the Greenwood Christian Cougars, we're assuming that there's a handful of Cougars. If we see the Crawford County Wolf Pack, we're assuming there's a lot more, than just a generic plural form here. Kind of telling, because obviously the Wolves and Wolf Pack, there's a difference there. Moving on to the 6-11, the Hammond Wildcats and the Christian Academy Warriors, the 3-14 Pike Red Devils and Blue River Valley Vikings. Great matchup there. Vikings continued in the 7-10 with Valparaiso Vikings and the South Spencer Rebels, and Mishawaka Marion Knights and Crothersville Tigers. Now, to kind of go back, there's a couple Rebels in here. The Rebels are another interesting one. Are they the Star Wars Rebels? Are they, Rebels like some sort of fighting force? What kind of Rebels are they here? So another fascinating matchup. And just shout out there to Crothersville. First boys sectional championship, I believe it was 102 years. So great job, Crothersville. I'm pulling for you in the real tournament as well. This one, it's all about the matchups. But thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you have fun with this. You'll see here in a day or two, we'll post these. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. Get involved, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, and we'll see you in a little bit.